Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. We can get your attention. I think we'll start. Keep eating, but if you could, we'll pause the conversation for a bit. Good afternoon from Washington, and warm greetings to all of you who are joining us virtually from across the globe. Finally, we have been trying to bring this group together for nearly a year, and because of COVID surges, we've had to postpone twice. I am so happy that we are together at last and we're seeing each other in person. My name is Jon Sawyer, and I'm the Executive Director of the Pulitzer Center. For those of you new to us, the Pulitzer Center is a nonprofit journalism and education organization dedicated to elevating public engagement with systemic, underreported global issues. We provide over 200 grants each year to freelance and staff journalists, photographers, and filmmakers to pursue their reporting projects in collaboration with news outlets around the world, and then we take that reporting out to the broader world through an ambitious, innovative set of partnerships with primary and secondary schools, university campuses, and civil society organizations. Interconnected, Reporting the Climate Crisis is the Pulitzer Center's 6th annual conference, focused this year on the urgent crisis facing our planet's coastlines, rainforest, oceans, and polar regions, and the impact on the people and communities who inhabit those environments. And let me note that as we gather this week, reporting the climate crisis is more dangerous than ever. Our thoughts are with our colleagues and friends as the search for answers into the disappearance of British journalist Dom Phillips and Brazilian indigenous activist Bruno Pereira in the Amazonas region of the Brazilian Amazon continues. We join our colleagues in urging the Brazilian authorities to take every measure possible to find them and hope for their safety. We salute Dom and Bruno for their commitment to this work, their courage, and their willingness to risk their own safety in pursuit of the stories that we need to hear. My own first trip to the Amazon was nearly 40 years ago in the fall of 1986. My wife, Kem Sawyer, and I traveled to Accra State in the western jungle a few hundred miles south of the Javari Valley where Dom and Bruno disappeared. We were there with Chico Mendes, the rubber tapper who had become a leader of local opposition to the land grabbers and cattle ranchers who were already burning the forest as fast as they could. Chico was murdered the following year, his death inspiring a national and global movement to save the rainforest. Dom and Bruno, like so many of the journalists in this room, have dedicated their lives to continuing that work. 4 years ago, this September, I was on the stage at the Global Climate Action Summit in San Francisco with Ola Elvestuen, Norway's Minister of Climate and Environment, announcing a bold experiment, a 5-year, $5.5 million investment to create the Rainforest Journalism Fund. On the stage were with me, and with us here today, in the back, were Brazilian environmental journalist Eliana Brum and Jonathan Watts, global environmental editor at The Guardian. Two members of the group of journalists committed to coverage of the Amazon who inspired the idea of making high-quality, independent journalism the vehicle for reversing the deforestation and degradation of destruction and degradation of tropical forests that threaten the future of us all. The Norwegians were betting that journalism could make a difference in raising the visibility of forest-related climate issues and inspiring people and governments to act. Eliana, John, the Pulitzer Center, and journalists everywhere were betting that the Norwegian commitment to truly independent journalism was for real, and that we could build effective journalism networks in the major rainforest regions of the Amazon, the Congo Basin, and Southeast Asia. 4 years later, we know the answers to those questions are a resounding yes. RJF, the Rainforest Journalism Fund, is responsible thus far for nearly 200 projects around the globe, from multi-part series on national broadcast networks to community radio in Brazil. In workshops and convenings, we have learned from each other, building skills and forging communities marked by common goals, a passion to make a difference, and an understanding that empowering local voices is an essential part of reversing the destruction of rainforests that threatens us all. 2 years ago, again with Norwegian support, we made another big bet that building on the success of RJF, we could create a rainforest investigations network. Could we get big newsrooms to commit to an initiative that required transparency and collaboration with the goal of building data sets on mining, cattle, palm oil, and soybeans, freely accessible to all? Again, the same answer, a resounding yes. In the first 2 years, we have supported 25 full-time investigative fellows, among them colleagues here today from the New York Times, Tempo, and El País, and also fellows from NBC News and Bloomberg who didn't ask for financial support of salaries at all, just the opportunity to work with the global network we were building. The 90 stories produced thus far include cover stories for El País on Congo's illicit timber trade, a front-page expose in the New York Times on how illegally deforested land in remote regions of Brazil make it to the plush leather seats of luxury SUVs in the United States, and an NBC partnership we heard about this morning with the Philippines Center for Investigative Journalism into forests denuded in the pursuit of nickel for batteries in green Tesla cars. As I say, we heard about some of this work in the pre-conference workshop this morning, and we'll be highlighting more in the breakout sessions this afternoon on gender and religion and labor, and in the plenary and small group sessions tomorrow that feature our Connected Coastlines work with regional news outlets across the United States, the reporting we've done on Arctic regions, and the new initiative we've just launched on the nexus of climate and labor. The work we're doing on artificial intelligence and on vulnerable communities in sub-Saharan Africa and on disinformation also touches, inevitably, on climate concerns. We couldn't do this work without support from strong donors, among them the Howard Hughes Medical Institute, the PIMCO Foundation, the Helmsley Charitable Trust, the Loudis Foundation, the Henry Luce Foundation, the Wallace Family Foundation, the Rockefeller Foundation, of course, NICFI, the Norwegian Initiative on Climate and Forest, and the individual donors behind the Arctic Reporting Fund. We are so grateful to them all. You'll be hearing a lot about our journalism over the next 2 days, and from some of the best journalists in the world working on climate issues. This opening session, however, is devoted to the Pulitzer Center's other important gamble: investment in education and outreach, experimenting in as many ways possible on ways to make our journalism accessible and compelling to the broadest possible audience. You'll be hearing the inspiring poetry from the winning entries in Fighting Words, our annual writing competition based on Pulitzer Center reporting projects that attracts hundreds of entries each year. You'll hear about the climate justice reporting fellows projects from some of the nearly 40 universities and community colleges that partner with us in the Campus Consortium program. And you'll hear from the 6 coordinators, 2 each from the Amazon and the Congo Basin and Southeast Asia, who are crafting an extraordinary range of innovative projects aimed at extending the reach of our reporting projects. Every journalist serious about his craft or her craft, the craft, wants to make a difference, to write or produce reporting that lives beyond the daily news cycle. The International Education and Outreach Reporting Initiative that we have recruited Flora Pereira to lead is intended to make that happen. From universities in the Amazon to K-12 classrooms in the Congo to arts-centered social media engagement in Thailand. We are so lucky to have Flora and her colleagues with us here today, representing 6 countries and multiple points of expertise, but a common passion for rainforest as an issue essential to us all. So with that, let me turn to Flora to introduce herself and the rest. And meanwhile, thank you again. Thanks to everybody for being with us today. Thank you. I should also have noted that Flora managed to get here with a broken foot.
I will need to adjust because I'm almost as high as Jon, of course. Yes. 2 minutes to adjust myself. There it is. Nope. So thank you. I'm Flora Pereira. English is not my first language, so I'm proud to be here as no-English speakers as well, representing and helping to launch this initiative. Talking about climate and environment is a challenge. There is a strong dichotomy lens between humanity and environment, between nature and culture. The very word environment highlights this dichotomy itself. Environment is what around us. It is us as the human center and the rest of the space, what is around us. This false separation has disastrous consequence. It gives this place of order to nature and automatically creates a hierarchical situation, a hierarchical two. The human as being that does not belong to nature would thus be above it. In this notion, nature is converted into this empty space, empty of people, empty of knowledge. It is converted into a resource that can be exploited over and over and over to the point of exhaustion. This dividing line also encompasses people who live themselves as equal to nature, who are constantly discriminated and under attack, when they are de facto the protectors and guardians of our planet. Climate change is forcing us as a society to problematize this concept, to problematize this mainstream concept of nature. There is now at least a beginning of understanding that nature is not necessarily a resource and can be seen only in that way. A shift of paradigm on the way we are living and consuming has never been so urgent. With this vertiginous climate change, the Nobel Award winner Paul Crutzen shares the idea that we are entering a new area, the Anthropocene, leaving the Holocene behind. The Anthropocene would be the time when man managed to change the morphology of the planet, the area that human managed to act as a geological force of the planet. No need to say in a negative way. But who is the anthropo we are talking? Who is the man that we are talking about? Who are these men responsible for destroying forests, rivers, communities, and changing geological systems? Who are these inconsequently transforming the nature for their consumption and profit? Is all society to be accountable? When the other side of the spectrum, those who has nothing to do and least contributed to it are the ones that are most suffering the impact. This is where the brave journalism enters. The journalism that is being produced by so many of the people in this room and people watching online, they are here to better tell, to discover, to investigate who is the anthropo we are talking about. Who are those in power that must be held accountable? They are telling the climate change stories, so the ones responsible are not spared for stricter accountability for the impact of their actions. They are giving names to it. The role of education and outreach is to prolong the breath of this fire. Today, Pulitzer Center is launching the International Education and Outreach Program, bringing together specialists from across the globe. By connecting youth, influencers, educators, teachers, and professionals, we work to foster engagement and create more powerful narratives on rainforest and climate issues. Intertwining journalism, education, and outreach in different and crucial climate hotspots in the world, we hope to be part of a great and stoppable multi-stakeholder movement that directly engage in improving policies, improving marketing campaigns, and also holding those in power into account. Inspired by the stories that all of you here are creating, and all other journalists are so bravely, some of them missing, our goal is to help to sensibilize and mobilize engaged and informed individuals and also organized civil society groups to help to redefine this dichotomy. It's an unfair narrative about nature, and we only hope remember our connection to nature, but also that nature should be part of our identity. Without nature, there's nothing much left for us. We hope to add voices to so many brave ones that have been here fighting for it before us. Today, I'm presenting the model we created of this program and the 6 new education and outreach initiatives inspired by the amazing work of Rainforest Journalism Fund and the Rainforest Investigations Network that are part of this program. And after we are having a discussion with the initiative leads, communication and education specialists from the COSRA Globe, that I would like to welcome here today, Afy Malungu. Afy Malungu is the outreach coordinator from the Congo Basin. Eric Selemani. Is the education coordinator from the Congo Basin. Granti Paramita. Education coordinator for Southeast Asia. Jonatan Rodriguez. Outreach coordinator from the Amazon. Maria Darrigo. And Vijitra Duangdee. Maria is the education coordinator from the Amazon, and Vijitra, also is the outreach coordinator for the Southeast Asia region. So we created a model for the International Education and Outreach Program based on 3 main axes. The first one is extending the reporting reach. We understand that the reporting itself and the media outlets where they are being published, they have a certain reach. And this challenge, the challenge of this program is how can we go beyond? How can we go to new audiences that are not being reached? I will talk one by one. Could you please pass the slide? Hello? Okay. So these are the regions in where the reporting, the rainforest reporting is being done today. As I said, inspired by the Rainforest Investigation Network and the Rainforest Journalism Fund, the goal is to try to reach educational audience, but also civil societies. And beyond reach, we've been having here in the pre-conference meeting a lot of discussion about impact. So how can journalism have more impact? Is that the role of journalists? Is that the role of education and outreach? And as I know we have many different language speakers here, outreach is a tricky word. Outreach in English might work, in other languages not so much. So here we are talking about mobilizing, we are talking about engaging, we are talking about calling people to action or to sensibilization at minimum. Could you pass, please? However, the second one is that we want a theory that is based in impact. So we created a theory of change. We didn't start it by the activities. We didn't start it by inventing nice and creative activities. We wanted to understand how can we go for impact? How can we, and the impact are the same that I think all journalists and all the programs here aims to reach. It's stop deforestation, promoting rights from indigenous and the inhabitants of the forests. How would be the faster way to get there? How can we be a tool or part of this movement? And from impact, we go to outcomes that are things that we believe we can help to achieve in a minimal certain period of time. And for them, then establishing the activities. But there is a third factor. Could you please pass, please? That is audience itself. So we also didn't want to have a top-down initiative where we establish what the audience needs to hear. We wanted to understand from each one of these regions. They are such different regions of different contexts, and we are working with different audiences, and each one of these persons have a different background. So we wanted to understand more about them before deciding what to do. So the 6 coordinators, they carried out research, and they also brought their networks and backgrounds to the initiatives, trying to understand. We use a methodology from Hardwired, that is, what is our value? What is the value, the impact that we want? But what are the values of the audiences we are trying to reach? And what can we find in common to then find the best narrative, to then find the best approach to reach out to them? Because maybe a journalist report will have language that won't be accessible to a K-12 or primary school student. So how do we do this transition of narrative? Does everyone understand what is biodiversity? Is that a common word? Does everyone understand what is climate change or deforestation, land grabbing, and all the words that we are so used to talk? So how do we translate that to make people understand that this is about them, this matters, this is about their day-to-day? So that's the connection we are trying to reach. And of course, for that, we try to map geographic, demographic, behavior, and attitudinal. So trying to understand a little bit more about the individual psychology. Can you go to the next one, please? And regarding the individual psychologists, it's also about creating programs and initiatives with the right expectations. So if I'm talking with someone that is oblivious, this is a methodology from CAUSE, Brazilian-based agency. If I'm talking to an audience that is oblivious to environment, how can I expect then that just by reading my content, they will become agents of transformation? I think we have to think about our own path becoming, I think this room is full of agents of transformations, but how did we get here? It was not from the day to the night or the night to the day. We learned about it, we read it the first time, and then step by step, we started to get involved. We were informed once, maybe twice, maybe multiple times until we understood the problem, then we were aware about it. And then we went sensitized and engaged and so on. So we are also trying, when we define it, which audiences we would be working, trying to understand where they were localized and what do we expect from them. Could you please pass? This is the team that you are seeing here. We are working now in 3 regions, 6 countries, but some of them are also working in multiple countries in the Mekong region, so Colombia, and also in Colombia, Venezuela, Ecuador, and Peru. So there will be regional initiatives, but most of them, we decided also to start with more locally instead of doing a red regional initiative. So each one of them will be talking briefly about their initiatives during the panel discussion, but the idea is that we are also testing models, okay? This is also experimental. We are experimenting and trying to understand what works, and then thinking more globally, and then thinking more regionally, and then trying to expand and reproduce models of success. Could you pass, please? I think you can pass. Those are the regions that we are working. So in the Congo Basin, we are, Eric Selemani is leading the Congo Basin Teachers Hub, Le Carrefour dos Enseignants du Bassin du Congo. And the idea is to support teachers with tools, with debates, and help them engage and also create a teachers network in schools of first and secondary elementary. The next, please. The Amazon in the Anthropocene is the education initiative in the Amazon, and it will connect 5 universities based on the Amazon in a module course to discuss Amazon issues, deforestation issues, but also citizenship issues. So how can we connect? What is the relationship with the Amazon and things that are happening there with your rights and your dues as a citizen? Next, please. The Southeast Asia Journalist Scientist Forest Hub aims to foster collaboration between academics and journalists. That was a great feedback that we had from the audience research from both sides. Journalists and scientists, they were looking together, they were looking to work with each other, but we were finding some barriers. So we aim to promote a network with a series of activities to help making bridges and connecting these two important actors. Next, please. We are also creating an Amazon lab led by Jonatan. That it's a hub. It will be an online hub to connect especially urban youth in Colombia and countries in the region to help regain identity as countries from Amazon. In the research, again, we found out that they didn't identify the Amazon as part of their identity. So we are trying to foster that. Of course, all that I'm sharing is inspired by the Rainforest work that the reporters here are producing. The next one, please. The Congo Basin Talk is aimed to speak with young professionals in DRC. So young professionals, there was also a surprise during the research, during the investigations, is that they did understand a lot about the forest. They did understand about the Congo Basin. They did understand the problems that the Congo Basin had and the importance of being preserved, but on that dichotomy notion that I just shared. So nature was there on its own. It has nothing to do with them. It has nothing to do with their life. So the goal of this initiative is to promote this discussion. What is the connection? How is Congo Basin can benefit? Is it related to my health? Is it related to my day-to-day? So trying to find those bridges and connections. The next one. The Show Me Your Tree campaign will be led by Vijitra in the Mekong region. Is working with influencers, especially micro-influencers, try to reread the reporting into different and multiple arts formats. So we'll be working both with we are doing a cross triangle between journalists, influencers, and local artists, trying to reread the work of the reportings. So it will become a piece of theater, it will become a photo exhibition, it will become a virtual exhibition and a physical exhibition as well, in different formats, trying to foster youth to get involved with the issues of the forest, and also, again, trying to connect it to their own identity. The Show Me Your Tree, the idea behind it, it is what is your tree you're connected with? What does that mean to you? What is the history we have with that tree? In a tentative to re-promote or promote this identity or this identification with rainforest and nature. Next, please. There it is. So I'm calling here today, I'm having a discussion and asking each one of them to answer a question about their program. Eric, in your initiative focused on working with the Congo Basin K-12 teachers. That means primary and secondary education. Could you share why do you believe working with teachers can be key to a better future when it comes to climate and rainforest issues?
Thank you very much, Flora. I come from a country where information is restricted or not available to anyone who wants it. So this is also true in the education sector, because after working for many years with teachers, I found out that teachers lack information on, on these issues, but also they lack basic subject knowledge, basic information that they should know and transmit to their students. So I believe that working with teachers, giving them information, discussing with them, presenting the reality to them will help them gain knowledge, but also as they are the one who easily influence their student, I believe it's a good way to go, because they will be every day with their student, inspiring them, influencing them with good information that they will be having with what we will be bringing with them. And I believe that the work that is already being done by our RJF and RIN journalists, when we take this information to the teacher, have discussion with them, this is good information enough to support the teachers, but also to help the teacher influence their student with this information.
Oh, hi. Thank you so much, Eric. I think sharing a little bit of our theory of change. It will be online in 6 weeks, but one of the goals, one of the impacts and outcomes we want working with K-12 primary and secondary teachers in DRC and in the future, hopefully elsewhere, is exactly we believe that trained and sensitized teachers and organized teachers can become ambassadors themselves of Rainforest. So it's one step in that direction. Also in that direction, I think, is the program from Grantee Paramita. Research has shown that indigenous people and traditional communities are the true guardians of the rainforest preservation. Their territories have a lower rate of deforestation and of biodiversity loss. However, this is not yet the mainstream narrative about forest conservation in Southeast Asia. And indigenous people remain the most affected by the consequence of monoculture and mining industries. Grantee, in the initiative you are developing, you are connecting researchers and RIN and RJF journalists to help to shift false and dominant narratives like this one about deforestation and environmental crimes. What do you believe is the power of this connection to contribute to the protection of the Southeast Asia tropical forests as well as the right of their inhabitants and guardians?
Thank you, Flora. So this Southeast Asia Journalist Academics Hub, this actually aspires to foster collaboration and engagement between the academic community by highlighting the complex challenges in the forest, the remotest part in the forest, reported by the RIN and RJF fellows through the dialogues and also the projects. So I have seen myself the power of academic activities. They're fighting the deforestation and climate crisis through knowledge sharing and influencing relevant policies. And therefore, I truly believe by combining the two power between the extensive and critical journalism that possessed by our initiative and also the power of knowledge, together we would be able to create a great impact for the forest and the affected communities. So the hope is to bring together the academia and journalists in the dialogues and joint projects under the Southeast Asia Hub. We would be hoping to see this collaboration contributing to the economic and socio change and hoping to empower the indigenous and forest communities. So the partnership with the academias would enhance the possibility to enhance their voices and empowering local initiative. So challenges in the forest are already complex, but we've seen that the local people are navigating themselves to be more self-sufficient. Our education project will try to enable the knowledge sharing that ultimately contributes to solving these challenges through hands-on activities and projects that inspired by the RIN and RJF reports. These activities actually range from holding 5 university-led seminar series to discuss the most urgent topics about forests and also empowering collaboration projects between scientists and journalists. I believe we can contribute to the fight against deforestation through these actions. So I think there is no better time to support this collaborative action more than ever. Thank you.
Thank you, Grantee. Jonatan, you're also building a network, and in your research it was brought up that Amazon was an abstract concept for the urban youth. Could you share more? How do you think building a network will improve, create citizenship, involvement or citizenship engagement with the audience that you are working?
Yes, thank you so much. I am really, really excited and happy to be here. I truly believe like citizen engagement is a crucial part of like we are going to try to do with these outreach initiatives. So like if we're trying to create that meets the best cocktail with the right ingredients, with the conveying the right stakeholders, but also connecting with young urban people from capital cities as me, like it's the perfect way to start to really approach in different directions around the idea of how we can influence the impact or like the policies for the Amazon rainforest in our countries. So we are going to try to build this platform, Amazonia Lab, through the idea about like how this lack of identity, of national identity, of like I belong and I live in an Amazon rainforest country, and it's sad to see like young urban people is not related or very well informed about, or like even they don't identify with the Amazon rainforest, and we want to approach with this interdependence concept with them. Like, how many of you, for example, guys know what is the flying rivers? Like, do you know the concept about flying rivers? It's a very powerful concept because like the Amazon rainforest basin like captures with like water vapor with the Amazon like rivers, like these clouds that travel through also to South America, and they are deposited in capital cities as the form of rain. So this concept, like the water which like sometimes we receive in the capital cities in our region, they come from the Amazon rivers, and we want really to connect with them through these powerful concepts, for example, like in the interdependence. So Amazonia Lab is going to be a place where we're going to launch initially 4 challenges, where we want that journalists, like citizens, young urban people, stakeholders connect, collaborate, and act to resolve and solve like these 4 initial challenges inspired by the Rainforest Journalist Fund and the investigation network. So that's our goal, like start to collaborate and thinking together, and especially using the interdependence concept, because as at the end of the day, we want to start to approach to new ways of collaborate and also to create governance, but with a critical vision of what it means Amazon if I live in the Amazon. That is the beginning, no? Like the young people which live in the Amazon understand properly what is the impact that they can do and influence. So yeah, climate justice is one of the most important challenges of my generation, and like this other part, and I am really, really excited to bring these outreach models and new experimentations to see how we convey really properly the impact that we can drive with the Rainforest Journalist Fund. And just like, yeah, I just want to end like, yeah, it's urgent, no? It's now, it's happening now, and it's more important than ever that we get inspired for the amazing work that the Pulitzer Center journalists are doing. But if we don't act now and start to connect the proper dots, it's going to be too late. And like Amazon rainforest is every day losing trees at like insane levels. And we really want to create this lab where I want that all you guys can join us to solve and figure out the best solutions for these 4 challenges that we're going to launch next week. You're going to receive maybe the invitation to your email. So thank you so much for being part of this if you want to support us with the Amazon Lab.
So when you were building the initiative, the choice of audience was actually open, and it was a coincidence that in the three regions, the 3 outreach coordinators brought from their expertise the need to work with youth. Vijitra is also decided to work with youth as an important audience in their region, and she decided to work in a different approach, I think, from the rest. She's bringing art as at the center of her initiative as well. Vijitra, could you share why Show Me Your Tree and why involving art to inspire youth to engage in public action and debate?
Thanks, Flora, and good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, so the Show Me Your Tree campaign aims to reinvigorate our memories for nature and connection with trees and rainforests. It's a memory that in the Mekong region, I'm sure many parts of the world, is often blurred by rapid development, deforestation, and challenges of environmental campaigns in areas where there's weak rule of law. This campaign, this youth-led or Gen Z-led campaign, is simple in its format, allowing micro-influencers, creative community to set up the challenge with a photo showing us their tree, big or small, remote, or in the back of the garden, connecting us with their memory of nature. It has the potential to go viral if the target audience take on the challenge. It's also another way to reframe the Pulitzer reports, the great work of the Pulitzer grantees and fellows, attaching strong journalism that's already out there to today's headline campaign. Also be working with local creative communities in the Mekong region, namely Thailand, Cambodia, and Myanmar, in creating the Pulitzer Reports inspired art series. The aim is to capture new audience and also to amplify their reports, RJF and RIN reports, via different and various genres of art, from painting to sculpting, from tattooing to poem reading, from folklore dancing to 3D printing. There's going to be all kinds of arts, films, display and exhibited offline and online. It's going to be a personal and interactive campaign, taking reflection and an amount of creativity, care, and effort, a connection between our target audience and hopefully the subject matter and also the community. And I want everyone to reconnect with their nature once again, and in so doing, with our grantees' work. Thank you.
Another project that is working to connect the problems of the forest with its citizenship day-to-day life is the Amazon in the Anthropocene. And Maria, could you share more with us? Why do you think it's important to bring Amazon issues to University Arena? And what did you discover in your research about the way students are expected to be involved in this topic?
Thank you, Flora. Well, I've been living in the Amazon for the last 10 years, and I think it's really important to talk to the Amazon audience. Usually we don't speak directly for them, and they are 25 million people just in the Brazilian Amazons. And it's interesting that part of this population, especially the urban population in the Amazon, they are not so close to the forest, and they are becoming less and less binded to it. So, and although we are not speaking directly to them, the agents of environmental crisis, for example, miners, land grabbers, the commodity producers, they are talking to them. And they are talking, and they are saying to them that we need to maintain this development model to generate wealth for the region. So if you want to tackle this trade-off between environmental conservation and development model, we need to talk with the Amazon audience urgently. So the project Amazon in the Anthropocene, it is designed to talk to the community, the university community. We are going to work with all of them, but the project is mostly focused in the students. And why the students? Because the students are the next cohort of professionals and teachers as well, and an important part of the shortcoming Amazonian society. So if we can talk to them, if we can convince them of the urgency of the crisis that we are living in the Amazon, we will have a very good result tackling about these issues. So another thing, so we are designing a course covering different topics about Amazon, about environmental crisis, for example, mining, land grabbing, deforestation, threats to protected areas, and others. And we will discuss them in different universities in the Amazon. And another interesting thing in the Amazon University is that besides the urban students, we also have students that are really connected to the forest. We have many indigenous students, we have many Quilombola students, we have many students that came from different traditional communities. And bringing them to this discussion, it's really important because we can learn with them a lot, and we can foster their communication abilities to lead this discussion. And so having a high-level discussion in this community, in the university, and bringing urban students and indigenous students all together to discuss this will raise the importance for all of them that we are in the middle of an important war, and we need all together to face it. And the RIN and RJF stories are really important to that, because we will use these stories to connect the students with all these problems and to engage them in seeking for solutions and seeking for further discussions, and so being more aware about all the environmental crises that are currently in the Amazon. Thank you.
Finally, Afy, you chose a different audience as well. You chose young professionals, and I'm guessing you will explain a little bit who they are. And you found out that they connect the Congo Basin to a nature space, but this distant nature, but not to their well-being. But you also mentioned that although they don't connect, they know a lot about it, and they are key actors to be involved in the discussion. They are the one that can foster for change and can request change from governments, can request for accountability. Could you share how sharing rainforest reporting with this group will help to engage them in the discussion?
Thank you, Flora. First of all, environmental issues must become part of everyday life. And what we can see that is that there is this observed disconnection between environmental and climate issues and the well-being of the population. And this well-being of the population is what is motivating me to actually run this project, which is so important. So I believe that true and appropriate information and knowledge based on facts are the key to ensure the welfare of the population. With the outreach initiative, Congo Basin Talk with young professionals, our goal is to plant the seed of environmental awareness in the minds of young people. We want them to realize that the changing climate, land use, mining, and deforestation are the elements that affect their lives and will continue to affect their future. This is why they need to take an interest, discuss it, critically analyze it, and hold decision makers accountable. What we are going to do is that through discussion platforms that young people already use and where they are actually present, we want to make environmental issues is a basic civic issue. I will use in my project interactive radio programs, meetups, and social media where young people discuss subjects such as economics, education, science, politics, and social issues. We want to bring the environment into the discussion spheres where young professionals are and show them that the environment is intimately linked to their well-being. In addition to this, we want to spread the messages through social media. I myself believe that disseminating information is not enough to enable them to integrate environmental issues into their daily lives. I want to interact with young people and collect their opinions and exchange on the issue in order to get them involved. So our Rainforest outreach initiative approach is that young people understand and integrate that they are part of the solution to the climate crisis, and to achieve this, they must take ownership of the preservation of the Congo Basin forest in the topics that directly affect their lives. Thank you, Flora.
Thank you so much, Afy, Eric, Granty, Jonathan, Maria, and Vijitra. I think it would always be symbolic having Global South voices leading these projects here with their knowledge and savvy about their regions. To end, I would like to read a poem from Eduardo Galeano, an Uruguayan journalist and writer that decades ago was writing to the world about land looting in Latin America and violence suffered by indigenous peoples protecting nature. Each person shines with his own or her light. No two flames are alike. There are big flames and little flames, flames of every color. Some people's flames are so still they don't even flicker in the wind, while others have wild flames that fill the air with sparks. Some foolish flames neither burn nor shed light, but others blaze with life so fiercely that you can't look at them without blink. And if you approach, you shine in fire. It's a pleasure and honor to launch this program here at this conference, where during the next 2 days, we'll be hearing and learning for so many fiercely flames. Thank you.
So thanks, everybody. That was a fabulous presentation. There's so many exciting things that are happening and will be happening, and we're going to be learning from all of you over the next couple of years and longer. So we have more programs, so don't leave, but just enjoy the conversation, and we'll be back in just a few minutes with the poetry and then to hear from our climate justice reporting fellows. Thanks.
everybody. I'm glad you're all talking and getting to know each other. We're starting again in just a moment.
Hello, hello. I hope you all have been enjoying your dessert and coffee. We are just gonna come back and get started in just a moment, so. Yes, sorry. Oops. Hello, everyone. Hi, we're going to get started again. Thank you so much all again for being with us today. We really appreciate it. All right. Okay, great. Well, thank you again for being here. My name is Haley Wazalowski, and I am part of the K-12 education team. It's so lovely to see so many familiar faces that I've just seen on Zoom and get to know you all in person a little bit more. Among many of our K-12 initiatives and programs, we hold 2 annual writing contests for students around the world, which invite students to directly explore Pulitzer Center reporting stories and the issues that matter to them. In the fall, our Local Letters for Global Change contest asks students to select one of the many Pulitzer Center reporting stories and to write a letter to their elected officials advocating for an action that they believe can alleviate a global issue in their own local context. In the spring, we hold our Fighting Words poetry contest where students write poems in response to current events, weaving in words and phrases from Pulitzer Center reporting projects. Through this process, students are challenged to exercise empathy as well as make personal and local connections with the news stories, and to write poems that highlight not only their own voices, perspectives, and creativity, but also uplift the underreported global issues and the people that are most affected by them. This spring marked our 5th annual Fighting Words Poetry Contest, and we received over 950 entries from students in 8 countries, 27 states, and the District of Columbia. Additionally, over 700 students participated in live writing workshops with our staff. This year's contest winners will be published on our website very soon, so we encourage you to check those out, and just some wonderful examples of beautiful poetry, and explore their work. It is just so inspiring that so many of these young folks demonstrate not only poetic craft, but also a nuanced understanding of urgent global issues and a passion for building a better world. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce the poet Taeyun David Han, who is a 2021 contest finalist from Southern California, who wrote a poem in response to a story about how forests in Costa Rica are suffering from and responding to climate change. Let's have a listen and meet the poet.
Hello everyone, my name is David Han and I'm from Southern California, and I'm immensely honored to share my poem, Capturing Carbon, with you today. I chose this issue because I realized that climate change is going to be the apex issue of my generation, and as a self-proclaimed climate activist, I really look for areas in my creative writing where I can kind of highlight social issues and kind of blend together my various passions to kind of create a mosaic of interdisciplinary thought. And I thought that this project was really embodied the idea of poetry and journalism coming together. So I wanted to make my poetry and environmental justice and climate change come together as well. Capturing Carbon, with lines from Living Planet, Capturing Carbon in Costa Rica by Daniel Grossman and Dado Galdieri, a Pulitzer Center reporting project. Self-destruction. They're standing on the banks of a river in a gully, cutting through a wall of emerald foliage kin. The trees know all of our secrets. After all, we hide them in the curves of our voluptuous leaves and pray the silver lining doesn't unravel. Phloem intact, xylem singing. We are stillborn, the forest, our weeping mother. The dust. Swinging freshly sharpened machetes, we soak the world in fine dust and bile-like fumes. This dust, how are we to breathe, my society cries. Before my throat hollows out, the trees bathe in extra carbon dioxide, marmalade on verdure bodies, chlorophyll in action. Close your eyes and proline weaves through your lids tight. It vaguely smells of soot. I say, where's the fire? The dust settles into our nests and strengthens in the gut. The savior. We continue to write our eulogy, and the trees give us an all-knowing look. The venerated evergreen evaporates our breed of self-destruction. We are suffocating, yet still breathing. Thank you.
Thank you all so much for listening and for celebrating these young poets. I would also just like to share special recognition to our colleague Hannah Burke from the Pulitzer Center, who was not able to be with us in person, but manages this entire contest and would not be possible without them. So, and if you, yes. And if you will be joining us tomorrow for the next plenary session, we'll be sharing another example of student work then as well. So thank you all so much.
Good afternoon, and thank you, Haley. Thank you, Hannah. And thank you to all of you for joining us here in person and also on Zoom. So happy to see participants from more than 20 countries. From the beginning, education and outreach have been an important part of our Pulitzer Center mission. By partnering with colleges and universities, we are training a new generation of journalists. Every year, we award fellowships to students from our 40 campus partners. These include liberal arts colleges, community colleges, journalism schools, schools of public health, and state universities. This year, we put out a special call for proposals related to climate science. We awarded 4 fellowships to students, 3 of whom are here today. Please stand when you hear your name. Kristen Chin from Boston University. Her documentary is titled Snow Money, so go check it out. Christian Elliott from Medill School of Journalism for a project titled The Search for Earth's Oldest Ice. And Brett Marsh from UC Berkeley for a Columbia-based project Where Coffee is King, a Crisis Looms. So congratulations to all of you. And we are also joined by 3 of our Campus Consortium Fellows who will be participating in panels during this conference. You can hold your applause and listen to them this afternoon and tomorrow. They are Emma Johnson from Yale School of the Environment and Davidson College, Josephine Malavi from American University, and Brett Simpson from UC Berkeley. All 3 are skilled reporters who have done amazing work producing stories from North Carolina, Puerto Rico, and the Norwegian Arctic. We asked one of our reporting fellows, Agostino Petroni, a climate science fellow from 2021, to say a few words. Agostino is a graduate of Columbia School of Journalism, an author, and a gastronome. Agostino has a knack for choosing good titles for his projects: The Olive Tree's Apocalypse, and A Parasite Ate My Ear. I will let him tell you more, and thank you, Agostino.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you to the Pulitzer Center for organizing this, for inviting me here. I feel very honored. And thank you, Fer, for introducing me. As she said, I was a fellow here at the Pulitzer Center in 2020 and 2021. And I received the fellowship in a very critical time of my career because I graduated in 2020 during the pandemic. I had an internship and it was canceled because of the pandemic. So I was kind of desperate, living in New York, having to pay rent. And then finally I received an email from the Pulitzer Center saying, we accepted your proposal, you're going to write about your olive trees. I was like, yes. So it is a story that is really dear to me because I am from southern Italy and there is this disease that is killing olive trees. And I come from a farmer's family, so this disease after our olives as well. So the Pulitzer Center gave me the courage and also the credibility to pursue this story. I was new to journalism, just graduated, and I went out there and I started interviewing lots of scientists, also thanks to the support of the Pulitzer Center. And also it gave me the kind of, credibility of reaching out to lots of editors and try to place my story. It was not easy. Kem loves when I say this, that I actually pitched my story 44 times to 44 different editors who rejected me. Some of them today or tomorrow. But in the end, I managed to publish it. And I'm really grateful to the editors and to the mentors of the Pulitzer Center for supporting me during this process. And my second fellowship was was my climate science reporting fellowship, and I wrote about how climate change is pushing this bacteria in the American South. It's called leishmaniasis, and how it's also involving the United States into this area of disease. So I have to say that I actually got this disease in my ear, so it was kind of a long story. But what I want to say is that the Pulitzer Center has helped me and other fellows as well to pursue stories that we feel are important and are personal to us. And it's giving us the help to bring to light stories that otherwise will not be told. And stories that in the end are really dear to us and are stories from the places that we love and that we call home. So thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to do this.
Thank you, Agostino. My name is Ann Peters, and I've annoyed you with emails, and I'm glad that you're all here and haven't been dissuaded from them. So really a pleasure to see you all here. Really excited for listening to everyone this morning and excited for the conversations you're having individually at the tables and then for the next, this afternoon and for tomorrow when we're continuing to be together. So just wanted to say to share as well out with the hashtag interconnected22 to get that out to folks around the world as well so they can follow. And we're also, as has been mentioned, we have our virtual audience, so continue sharing those links that we can have to other colleagues of ours around the globe. And with that, to our virtual audience, just to remind them that to register for the webinars so that you can access the interpretation throughout these 2 days of our conference. As well as our sessions this afternoon in multiple languages, including the first religion panel, which will be entirely in Spanish. So also make sure when you depart from our time together here for lunch that you pick up the headsets if you haven't already, just outside the room. And also to say, this is another first. Not only are we bringing so many people together, but we are ahead of schedule, which is a big first in the Pulitzer Center life, I'll tell you that. So we do have some time together to speak before our 2:30 p.m. sessions this afternoon. And just to give a quick rundown, there are signs just outside each of the rooms if you're interested, or anyone with a yellow lanyard can assist further in terms of where you might be interested in going, looking at labor and climate issues, religion and climate issues, and then gender and climate. So as we break, I just want to say thank you to the entire Pulitzer Center team, to all of our colleagues here from around the globe, both in person and virtually, and to our speakers and moderators. So thank you, Team Pulitzer, and want to say please enjoy your time together until we meet again in the breakout sessions at 2:30 p.m. Thank you.